Hey guys, welcome at XR Podcast, episode number 3. I'm here actually today with Mark Skubek and Karina Luis.
Yeah.
In this episode, actually, the reason we're coming out is because we want to talk about leasing and Airbnb management. So what happens in my world, I have, God bless, I have multiple properties, but sometimes I just don't have time. I can't get to all of them right away, so I need help. So the people that help me in my office at XR are these two, top-notch agents, Mark and Karina. So here's Mark Skubik.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, Mark Skubak. I've been working with Greg for about 7 years now. I've been in the real estate industry, though, doing a little bit of anything and everything for up to almost 15 years now.
Long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I'm blessed as well to own multiple
Yep.
multifamily properties.
That's why you help me, because you know what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Karina.
Yeah, I've been in real estate for about 10 years now. I have some multi-properties as well. And yeah, we manage our own buildings, so that's how I was able to start helping you, because
exactly.
we have some experience in managing. And that's what, with the Airbnb, that's how it all came together.
Correct. So what I want to talk about today, we have some fans that are asking me questions online, right? And so I'm like, you know what? Let's do a little podcast. Let's talk about these questions with you guys, because you're like helping me on all my to rent all my properties, right? Like if it was for me, I probably would have half of them vacant, and I don't because of you,
Yep.
and I appreciate it. And then Karina helps me on the Airbnb. I decided to do Airbnb. She ran full force with it, and she pretty much does it all. It's always occupied. Can't complain. I'm making good money on it. More than the rentals. I'm sorry, man. But yours are steady. So
We need more Airbnbs,
yeah, we do. Step by step.
step by
Step
step.
by step. But let's get into the questions. So the first question I got here from a fan, we're not going to say the fan name. Sorry, guys. Got to keep it anonymous. It says, question number 1, what it entails managing an Airbnb? So that's probably for you.
What does it entail?
Yes.
There are a few things. Most importantly, cleaning.
Okay.
Right when you have a guest and they leave, like they check out, you have to make sure you have the cleaning person going there right away.
Okay.
Just because, you don't want to make a mistake
Okay.
where you don't change the sheets, or you leave, because sometimes guests will leave their dishes. So you got to make sure you like clean the dishes, get everything in there, and make
What
sure
about
it's
if you have a
clean.
bad cleaning guy or girl?
Well, then you fire them.
Okay. But what happens
No,
with the guest?
no.
Like,
I think like if you find somebody who, it charges a little less and they're not doing great work,
okay.
it's okay if you come in and you tell the person like, hey, look, I see that you missed this.
Okay.
Maybe, you can do this next time. Just
Yeah.
help them improve,
Okay.
because if they're charging low, then
Of course.
you can't be too picky,
You can't
right?
be too picky, yeah.
So that's
But
the thing I would do.
Yeah, but I think it's important to keep the place really, like, be on top of it, right?
Yeah.
You schedule the cleaning guy right away.
Right.
Because if the next guest is coming, you got to make sure the place is clean. Because if it's not clean, yeah, they'll stay, but then they're going to put a bad review.
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't it all about reviews, I think?
Yeah, it's all about
So,
reviews. So yeah, that's what it entails, is
Okay.
making sure the place is clean.
Cool.
Everything is stocked. So you have to have like sodas, like sparkling soda, water, coffee, like the K cups. Some people like coffee. We have tea.
Nice.
Some people like to drink tea, or
Nice.
like you, Mark.
Yeah, like me, my chai tea.
Try to.
Not chai Thai.
Yeah, I was confused today.
Do you have a lot of people where it's kind of same day move in, where you have to have it cleaned first thing in the morning and then they're checking in same day?
Yeah, so I have to make sure we have a check-in time of 4 p.m.
Okay.
and a checkout time of 11 a.m.
Okay.
But when you're starting off an Airbnb, you try and be a little bit more flexible, because you want to make sure you get good reviews.
Yeah.
So you just have to make sure when they say, hey, we're going to check out at this time, then I go ahead and let the cleaning guy know, like, hey, they're checking out at this time. We have somebody coming in tomorrow at 8 a.m. You can come in within these hours. So that's how. And you got to be like really on top of it, because sometimes like you're getting all these notifications from people, and you're like, okay, this person said this time, this person said that time,
Can you imagine?
But that's because I'm not as strict. Some hosts will say no, there is no
That's right.
flexibility.
Yeah.
You got to check in at like hotel rules,
Yeah.
But
you
for
make sense.
us starting off,
Yeah.
obviously,
And that's why
you
we're
want to
doing,
be more flexible.
I think that's why we're doing really well.
Hmm.
That's a big reason.
Yeah.
But let's get to the second question. I want to go through
Sounds
these
good.
questions so the fans don't get angry with me. So that question
Bad
number two.
review.
Yeah, bad review. Bad review, you know? I already worry about the Zillow ones. Can you imagine I get YouTube review? Oh my God.
Forget about it.
Yeah. So question number two. I think this one's for you, Mark. How do you like leasing apartments from selling homes?
Okay. So
It's a good one.
it is a good one. I love both of them.
Mhm.
There are similarities, but there's also bit differences.
Okay.
So I think when it comes to leasing, what people kind of, at least what I think about, and I don't think it gets out there as widely as, things in the market when it comes to selling does.
Yeah,
But like you hear in the news, right, that there's an inventory shortage, right?
of course we do.
People only really think about that when it comes to buying or selling.
They do. Yeah.
It's also impacting
An apartment.
apartments,
Yeah.
leasing, and the families that are trying to rent, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be very patient when you're
Yeah.
renting and you're leasing out your units because you're likely going to have, at least right now in the market, there's going to be a big demand for it.
Because you get a lot of. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I notice every time you post one of mine, you get like you're like, hey, Saturday I'm gonna be there.
yeah,
12 to 2, and you have 40 people.
yep,
I'm
yep.
like, man, 40 people?
Yeah, so like how I like to manage it is you're going to have a lot of inquiries,
Yeah.
and I want to be fair to everyone.
Of course.
So I do it open house style, where
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
that is interested can come between
Yeah.
those time
Well,
slots.
everybody has a
Yeah,
chance.
yeah.
I
Give
think
give everyone a fair shot.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like
for
it.
sure.
I like it.
I think it's pretty amazing too because if these people like let's just say they don't get that apartment
Yep.
and if they don't have a realtor, they can work with you, right?
yeah.
Essentially, that's if they're
Correct.
interested and you guys are a good match, you can send them like
Yeah.
different apartments
Yeah,
to
and
view.
that's honestly it happens. It happens a lot where we help so many people
Yeah.
rent out their units. Investors that own multifamily that you kind of get a network of these tenants, these applicants that are looking for places.
Correct.
So it kind of flows into the next ones. Hey,
Yeah.
I may not have one right now, but if you wait a month, I have a unit coming, and you
Correct.
build demand for it.
But what
Right.
about, I remember when, an example like, these tenants are coming to an application, then you realize actually they could even buy.
Yeah.
And they don't even know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we had examples, real examples. They couldn't buy, not they couldn't buy, they could have bought that time, but they want to rent, so they rented it out, and then they use you as a realtor.
Yeah.
It was like the year after or
Yep.
something.
A year goes by, maybe they weren't ready to buy at that point,
Yeah.
but you keep in touch, build a
Yeah.
relationship, and yeah.
I lost my tenant, but you made money on the sell.
Yeah, we got another one.
It worked out. Yeah, so that's good too. So I feel like, even like for tenants, I think it's a relationship with everybody, right?
Yeah.
You're selling, you're leasing, like we here at XR, we help everybody. There's no problem, and everybody could become from a tenant, become a homeowner, or even buy a building. I mean, I had one of my clients end up buying he saw what I was doing and everything, and then he ended up buying 6 flats himself, and he was my tenant originally,
Yeah.
like years ago.
It's great.
So, all right, let's go to. I got another question. Let's go to another question. Okay, so I think this next question is for you, Karina. It is. Let's see. How did you become a super host? Wow. Do they know you're a super host?
Who?
I don't know. The fan. Because they're like, are you a super host?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking us up. That's okay. You guys can look us. That's why we do this.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message the other day on Instagram and they're
Uh-huh.
like, "Where's your Airbnb located?" And
No
I was,
way.
yeah, and they're like, "I might use it, if it's
Wow.
like in a
Yeah.
nearby location." And I said, "Yeah, it's in Park Ridge."
That's pretty cool.
They're like, "Yeah, that's a perfect location
Yeah.
because the airport's right there.
Yeah.
It's
Can't beat it.
yeah, transportation's pretty close." So, how did I become a super host?
Yeah.
Basically just being flexible,
Mhm.
accommodating, and just
Okay.
making sure everybody's happy. So
But is it based on reviews? Like
Yeah.
how does
I-
it work? Like they're like, oh, they know what they're doing.
yeah, when you're a super host, your listing will
Okay.
appear like on the top page.
The algorithm, so you play around with the algorithm.
Yeah.
On Airbnb, when you start, you don't get the super host status. You're just a regular, I don't know how we call it, but just a person that's renting an apartment, right?
Yeah, so you're just the host, but when you become a super
You're
host,
building
it
your-
shows that
Yeah.
you've had multiple people stayed in your place, you have decent
You build your
reviews.
credibility.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
credibility.
yeah,
It shows
yeah.
that you're someone accountable.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so like
Reliable.
if I were looking for Airbnb, right?
Correct.
I'm going to be more comfortable if I see someone's a super host because I know that, people have been happy there,
He's on
there's
top
the
of it.
reviews, yeah.
He or she is on
Yeah,
top of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And I myself, yeah, like he said, when I'm looking for an Airbnb, for example, I'm going
Yeah.
to New York and I have
Yeah.
to find an
Right.
Airbnb. And
You were looking
finding an Airbnb in New York is no joke. It's
Yeah,
hard,
I bet.
really tough. But yeah, the first thing I do is I look and see who the super host
Yep.
is because I know they're reliable, they're going to respond quick. Because some of these reviews is crazy, like from people that, like from guests.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they never responded. I was there freezing. They
Wow.
never sent me a message to give me the lockbox
Yeah.
code
God.
or little things like that. So for me, I've even been in a situation where the heat wasn't working at one point and I couldn't get the handy guy.
Yeah.
So I like went to the store and bought blankets and I took
You
it
dropped it
and
off.
I dropped it off to the guest. I'm like, knock, knock. She was like half asleep and she opened the door. I'm like, I brought you blankets. I know that the heat's not working, but I'm getting the handy guy pretty soon. Here's some blankets. She's like, oh, you're
Hey.
such a dear. You didn't have to. I'm like, 5-star.
Listen, you become a super host, helps me to make more money. So it works out.
Yeah,
It's a win-win. So
basically.
but anybody out there, like, right, you wanna, if you're buying a building or you have a building, you're like, hey, call us and we'll teach you, or at least guide you how to set up an Airbnb or
Yeah,
how to
I
do
did it from scratch.
Yeah.
I mean, his place was vacant. I went in there,
Yeah,
I
that's
I
interesting.
looked around, I took measurements, and I picked the theme, right? Because you want to pick a theme
it's-
on your Airbnb, whether
Funny
it's
story.
modern.
Yeah. Funny story. Mark actually had it for rent. And then because I was going to rent it. And so Mark
Oh,
had it listed and I'm like, you know what? I talked to Karina, we're gonna do
I took your commission.
we're gonna do Airbnb. And he's like, what?
Yeah,
What do you
we
mean?
don't want to talk about that on the
Oh,
podcast. We're getting into touchy subjects here.
all right, let's go back to the questions. Let's go back to the questions. Let's go back to the fan questions. Okay?
Sure.
All right, we're good. Anyways, okay. Question is for you.
Okay.
How do you market the units? Like, how do you market my unit?
Yeah.
This is probably from an investor, I bet.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to know, like, hey, how do you market your units,
For sure.
to get my tenants?
Yeah, I mean, I treat it the same way as a sale, right?
Okay.
So a lot of the marketing dollars that we spend, it's to ensure that, particularly for a lease, that it's getting to apartments.com,
Mm-hmm.
Hotpads,
Yeah.
Zillow, just to make sure there's as much exposure,
Okay.
as possible out there. But it's also kind of, we were talking about, right? We do so many of these for clients that you build up a network.
Yeah.
You have, essentially a pipeline of
Correct.
potential applicants that you keep in touch with and tell them when units are coming up. Maybe they just applied too late on the last one, right? Maybe
Yeah.
they qualified, everything was good, but it just timing wasn't right. So you
Right.
kind of keep in touch with those folks and you help to get the other units leased quickly.
Yeah, it works out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all about that, and I mean, it's about meeting people, and then you create your pipeline, and then you send a simple email, right, and you reach out to everybody.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
I think that's a great strategy. Not a lot of realtors do that.
Yeah.
They'll like have an apartment rented and then forget about the people that missed out on that apartment and don't
Right.
reach out.
Correct.
But the fact that you're doing that, you're sending an email out to these prospects like, hey, I have another unit that's coming up. That's like,
But it
you're
makes it-
really
yeah,
working for your
yeah.
client right there.
You're going like, how do you say in English? Like above and behind,
The extra mile.
Yeah, definitely extra mile right here.
There you go.
Going the extra mile, that's where we're slogan
He's
is.
going the extra mile.
No,
That's a heavy pillow.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, what I try and do with the open houses is, let's say we do it between 12 and 2. I try and give everyone that's reaching out, 10, 15 minutes where, they can come and view it by
Yeah.
themselves. So there's not a crowd of people, right?
Yeah, that's true too.
And then you get to meet people, right?
Yeah.
They get to meet you and you keep that relationship. And, like I said,
Well-
that one didn't work out. Maybe a future one will.
Yeah, but think about it.
That's so
Besides,
great.
yeah, besides helping the tenants, think about it in if we have an investor or landlord, they need
Yeah.
our help, right? And they call Mark or you guys not only put it on MLS and put it on Zillow, you shoot an email to all your tenants you have in the past.
Yeah, I think that's so
So
great.
we're kind of like, we're doing that little extra
Mhm.
that I think maybe the average person wouldn't do,
Yeah.
the average agent,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you'll be surprised. I'm not trying to bash other
No,
realtors, but
not
like
everyone.
when I see apartments that my client that is interested in
Yeah.
and I call the realtor,
Yeah.
they don't answer and then I never get a call back.
Yeah, that's not good.
It is. I mean, it is hard. I mean, because there's been honestly units where I've had 100 people inquire.
Renting apartments is no joke.
Yeah.
And I think somebody who decides as a landlord they want to rent their own space is fine. But if they don't know, like if they don't know what they're doing, they can get into a situation where they get somebody, they write a fake check. I've seen like
Yeah.
those horror stories. So
We had one actually, just a little story I want to say. It was a completely fake applicant.
Yeah.
oh, I've seen
Like they
them.
stole.
They do
yeah.
really well on the pay stubs too. They put a fake address, things like that. So
So if I
that's
had,
why.
yeah. So if I have my investor, I got some investors in Italian, Polish, and my investor Pasquale, he doesn't, and he did it on his own. He probably would have just rented out to that
Stuck with
person,
that, yeah.
and then that person would leave, and then that's how you get the order.
Another thing is that sometimes they don't know the
Yeah,
market rent.
the
true.
potential.
So
how
when
much
you're
money-
marketing these apartments,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're running your comms
Yeah,
too to make
absolutely.
sure, if you can get
That's
a
true.
little bit more money for your
Yep.
client.
That's true.
Hence the client.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Greg.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Shoot, we gotta partner up over here,
Yeah,
Mark.
We gotta work out a side.
We gotta get some more Airbnbs in our
You
multi-unit.
guys gotta buy more.
We
Well,
do.
Why don't
We
you-
We're
do.
getting there.
Yeah, we
You
do.
know?
He has a few. I have a few
Yeah.
too.
You
Yeah.
guys do well. Like, I think, besides me, and that's what we promote this here. Like, like we love our clients to become rich. We're trying to get there too. And we want, even if a client buys a house, we're like, hey, if you like real estate and you like this, maybe you could buy your 6 flat, your 3 flat, your 2 flat. But we walk the talk. We do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like I'm just talking about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 So
We
you
live it. We
yeah.
live it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a
Exactly.
prideful feeling too to
Exactly.
know that I'm a realtor and I'm letting people know why they should buy, but I also bought.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really
Yeah.
rewarding
Yeah,
feeling.
you're leading by example.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's nice. Like your first property, what you bought? Your first property?
First house was actually a townhouse.
A townhouse.
Yeah,
Nice.
that I always planned to,
Uh-huh.
keep long term,
Okay.
rent out. Ended up staying there a few years. Upgraded from there, and
Okay.
kept that.
So
that
you stayed
townhouse.
there?
Yeah, kept that townhouse for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And then I ultimately sold it,
Okay.
rolled it into a 1031.
Oh, you did
I
1031 with that?
did a 1031.
Wow.
Yeah, so protected those proceeds against
Taxes.
taxes.
Right. You would.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and rolled it into another multifamily.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. So you bought it. You ended up buying. So you sold your townhome. From a
Yep.
townhome, you upgraded to a multi. Like, what was it? A 2 flat, 3 flat,
this one was a 3 flat.
3 unit.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
You found.
went from 1 to 3, and
Nice.
that
That's pretty
one
cool.
From 1 door to 3 doors.
That's
yeah,
pretty
that
cool.
that one was a great story because
Yeah.
I knew the area
How
I
you
wanted
found
to, yeah, I knew the area I wanted to be
Okay.
in. So I actually ended up, calling, emailing, texting the block of.
Wait.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
called. Wait, you didn't check the MLS? Like,
I mean, I
Zillow,
did,
Okay.
but there's nothing where I wanted, right?
So you had a specific area.
Specific area.
Okay. There was
Yeah.
no inventory. There was no inventory.
There was no
Obviously, there was
inventory,
nothing in that block.
Yeah.
So you just text randomly, like,
Text, call, email.
oh my God.
Did you go door knocking?
I did not door knock.
Almost.
Yeah.
You almost
Yeah. I
did.
would have if they didn't
Yeah.
answer. I would have. I would
So
have.
somebody responded then.
Yeah. Actually, a few people responded.
Man, that's a pretty
It
good story.
honestly, it all came together really quickly.
Yeah.
Went to see it, was under contract within
Yeah.
a week, closed within 30, 45 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sold the other one, closed the next
That's
day.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good story, and makes me
Mhm.
kind of makes me proud here at XR because if a client, imagine a client right now, right?
Yeah.
They're looking for 3 flat, 6 flat, they can't find nothing. I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, I got Mark here. He's gonna be texting and calling everybody and maybe find you something off market.
Off market. Mhm.
Right? You know what I mean? So that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, and we have our network of
Besides
past
Besides
clients,
that,
right?
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
we know when people are looking to sell. Maybe we have investor clients that are looking to sell, and
Why
Yeah.
not find me more properties?
yeah, because I want them.
I like it. I like it. What about you, Karina? What was your first property?
My first property was a 2 flat in Cicero.
A 2 unit. Oh, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yes, I was a leasing agent at that time. I had my real estate license to help people buy and sell, but I wasn't practicing it yet.
Okay.
And I knew that I wanted to buy a multi-unit. I was in the corporate world, and yeah, I decided.
Why you want to like? Okay, so your first property you went in was a multi, because I know you touched it a little bit last on the last podcast,
Hmm.
but I want to get more, find out more details. Like, why did you go by? Like most of the young people, right? You're young still,
Yeah.
but you're probably super young back then. They want to buy like a condo in
Super,
River
super host, super young.
Super host, super
We
everything.
got everything going.
But yeah, but a lot of people at that age, right? They want to buy like a condo in River North, Lincoln Park, or buy a single
Right.
family home, right? And you instead went straight to a two flat.
Right. Well, I
Like that's kind of
started
cool.
I started in leasing.
Okay.
So I was relocating
Oh.
people all over Chicago through a
Okay.
company called Apartment People,
Okay.
and I would see how much these landlords would make.
Oh.
And then once I got into property management, which it was the corporate world,
You add
same thing. These buildings are like leasing 400, 600 unit
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah.
People are paying prime rent in
Yeah.
downtown to live in this like small space. It only made sense to
Yeah.
me. Like, okay, landlords make money this way, a property management company makes money this
Yeah.
way. That's where it makes sense. That's what I want to
Yeah.
do. That was the reason, but most importantly too, I wanted my family to have a place
Yeah.
to live. And
Yeah.
by buying a multi-unit, it allowed me to have, tenants in one floor,
Yeah.
and then on the other floor have my mom
Have
and
your
my
mom.
siblings move in
That's
with
pretty
me.
cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
That's
it had an attic,
Yeah.
so it was a two flat with a duplex.
With a duplex. Okay.
A duplex up.
Duplex
Mhm.
up.
So I lived in the attic,
Wow.
and
You
yeah,
lived in an attic?
yeah.
I lived in
But
an
it was
attic.
a big attic. It was really
I
nice.
lived in an attic too.
I made it look all pretty, painted it.
I lived in an attic as well.
And you know what's cool? Even though where it was located in Cicero, I can see the Willis Tower from my window.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's so cool.
You're like, this is prime property.
This
Look
is
at
like,
this-
look
look
at
at
the
this
view.
view.
It's a selling point when I sell
Oh, you ended up selling it
multi-unit.
then.
So I kept it.
Okay.
I lived in it for 2 years,
Okay.
and then the remaining I leased it out completely.
Yeah.
And then by the 5th year, I decided to sell it.
Okay.
Nice.
And I think it was pretty cool because when I first bought it, I did 3.5% down
Yeah.
FHA home. And so basically, I got my money back once I
Yeah.
sold
Your
the
cash on
property.
cash- yeah, your cash flow, like your cash on cash on that probably was like 20%, like crazy, or maybe even more.
And it was really great because I also got firsthand experience, like
Okay.
dealing with tenants, what it is to like manage your property. When you're living in the property, you know what's going on, right? So it's
Yeah.
like something breaks, you have to change it. Like nothing's easy. It's not just buying a building and making cash flow right away. You gotta like
Yeah, exactly.
clean your gutters and
yeah,
make sure you like
yeah.
put traps, so
Yeah.
mice don't go in there in the winter. So
You see why I
it's a
picked you-
learning
Exactly.
experience.
You see why I picked you guys to help me? You guys know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You,
Sure.
you know.
But yeah, so that's what I did. And then once we sold it, I did the same thing you did. We took that money and invested in another property,
Yeah.
and we bought a 3 flat.
That's nice.
Hmm.
And I think any client really, when we're helping clients, like the same thing you did and you did, we could help. Like somebody could be 21 years old and they could do a two flat, help their family, and then buy up, right? Or even start with a townhome or a condo. Like I lived in a garden unit. That was my first place. I want to get out of my parents' house, and I bought it with my sister. I love you, sister.
In Italy?
It was a nightmare. No, here actually.
Okay.
My first one. And when I came here, but I never rented actually.
You still have it?
I know. No, I mean that was my sister does.
Oh, cool.
You purchased,
But I
you
never-
never rented. Yeah.
Yeah, I purchased my first
Yeah.
place when I moved out.
Oh, you never
I
rented?
never rented a place.
You've
in my
never
life.
been a tenant?
Never in my life. I always had that thing in me. I want to buy.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
own. And it worked out, but it was bad. It was a garden unit. Used to get a little water. It was complicated. But then from there, I bought like a two flat,
Yeah.
and I lived in the attic, just like you. And and again, step by
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. It's cool owning, and I think we could, I think that's what makes us special here at the office. We all have different experience.
Mhm.
You guys, me, everyone. Because I think everyone owns property at the office. There's
Mhm.
nobody
Yeah.
like.
Hmm.
Maybe I should make it a requirement. If you work here, you have to own property. Sorry, guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you speak by
Yeah,
experience.
it's experience. Yeah.
I think it's great. Having your own property does come with a lot of headaches sometimes. It's
It
not always like
Yeah.
a walk in the park, how some people make it, especially now in social media, you see a lot of people say like, here's how to buy a 3 flat.
Right.
This is what you got to do. Yes, those are the
Correct.
steps, but I think you really have to get into like what it is to be a landlord. What are some things like, do you know how to evict somebody
Yeah.
if something happens, if they decide
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay you rent anymore, now evict me?
Yeah.
Do you know what the proper steps are? And I think that's why when you work with somebody, you have to have the right resources.
Yeah. And I think like out there, there's like two type of people, right? The people that think it's too easy, and then there's people who are scared and they never make a move.
Mm-hmm.
They would never buy a property because they're scared. Like, oh my God, what happens? And that's where we come, like you guys, could say, hey, I have experience. This is how you lease it out. This is how you do an open house. This is how you screen clients, the tenants, right? And you're there saying the same thing, and plus you're saying like, hey, you can make this little room units here Airbnb.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool.
Like one of the services that I love to offer is when I'm encouraging a client to buy a multi-unit, I let them know upfront, don't worry, we're in this together. We're going to buy this multi-unit
cool.
and then I'm going to help you lease it as well.
I like it.
And once I help you lease it, we're going to draft up the lease. I'm going to qualify your tenants and I'm going to make sure and knock on wood, all of my clients that I've found tenants for, they're happy.
Yeah.
And
I say
like,
the same thing, but then you guys help me out. But I do say the same thing.
but back to Airbnb really quick.
Yeah.
So one of the things that when I do have guests trying to stay in the place, I also screen them.
Yes.
Like I just don't
Okay.
approve and let anybody stay because you don't know what you can get into. You don't know if somebody's just gonna squat there and
Yeah. Wow,
not
that's
leave the
crazy.
apartment.
I think
So I'll send them like a private message sometimes, very like subtle.
Yeah.
What brings you here? You know, how long did
Okay.
how long did you plan on staying? Because sometimes if you go to their profile, if they haven't had enough bookings on Airbnb, then it'll say like 0. And so for those people right away, I send them a message like, hey, what brings you here?
Just to feel them out.
Just
to feel them out.
People.
Yeah, there's been people that I declined
That you
just
decline.
because they kind of give me a vibe, you know, like, they're not being too responsive. They're being very vague with their response. So
Yeah.
I'm like, decline.
Yeah, that's huge because I think a lot of people like like I meet people every day and they're like, hey, Greg, you have rentals, you have Airbnb. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, like, aren't you scared somebody's gonna like stay there forever, never leave? They're all scared. Like it's almost like they're scared, but because of the screening we do too, that helps me like not having those kind of situations.
Yeah, right.
You know,
You have to
that's-
properly screen them.
I mean, like that's definitely different on the multifamily side than Airbnb, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like when I go to screen clients,
Okay.
like I said, I do the open house, right?
Yeah.
It's really important for me to meet them in person,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
just understand who they are, what
Yeah.
their story is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people rent out of necessity, right?
Yeah, of course.
Some
of course.
people rent out of choice. You know, what's driving them.
And everybody has a shot.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
give everyone a shot.
Yeah.
It like to me that is the most critical piece, meeting the people that are applying.
I think they create that
understanding.
bond.
Yeah.
They create a bond with you too.
Yeah.
Like I even have my tenants, because Airbnb is different, right? Short term, they leave, you never see them again. With us, we're talking to them more often. So mine, sometimes they want to talk with Mark again because they create that bond.
Yeah.
So they feel more connected with you than even me
Mhm.
because I'm never like, I never met
Right.
them in person.
Yeah.
So it's big.
So yeah, for Airbnb, I can't screen them like you're screening them.
right.
So it could get a little
So
scary,
you gotta be
especially
careful.
for somebody that wants to get into Airbnb. Like, how do I know how to screen them? But that's what I do. I just send them like a little subtle message. I check
Yeah.
out their reviews
Right.
because as a host, you can also write reviews on the person that's staying.
Yeah. That's big.
So like if they trash your place or if the tenants complain that they were partying too hard and they were doing drugs or something like
Wow.
that, you can go ahead and write a review
Okay.
Yeah.
on the guests.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's why a lot of our clients own properties, but they don't do real estate every day,
Yeah.
and that's why we're here to help them, to guide
Yeah.
them, teach them all the little details, what happens, and and it's fun. We love it.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Even with the headaches.
Even with
yeah.
Just take some Advil,
No big deal.
Yeah.
some Tylenol.
Okay, so one more thing on screening. Just this is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So, everyone is going to do their application. You're going to do last 2 pay stubs, credit check, right? Background check. For me, like I said, meeting the person is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know, for the credit report, I'm not expecting a 750, 800. The
Yeah.
score doesn't matter as much to me. If there's stuff that happened in the past,
Yeah.
the past is the past.
That doesn't make a person,
No,
like,
no.
make you the person,
I mean,
a
like,
number, come on.
yeah, like I'll give you
I
an
agree.
example.
I agree with you.
Back in 2017,
Mhm.
I rented to a gentleman that he was going through a tough time. He filed divorce, right? Actually filed for bankruptcy as well.
Wow.
So his credit score was non-existent at that point.
Yeah.
But he was at his job for 17 plus years, same
Wow.
company. I had a good feeling with him, you know, good
Yeah.
relationship.
He was a good guy.
Obviously, I asked for a little bit bigger of a deposit just to
Yeah.
be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
But he ended up staying there for 6 years, and he ended up buying a property with me.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
6 years.
That is a crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a pretty awesome story. Think
And
about it.
like I can tell you that anyone else that saw that there was a pending bankruptcy
Yeah.
would have
Immediately
never
run.
would have never
Yeah.
rented to him.
That's yeah.
And like that's the thing, like
Yeah. That's
you know,
right.
selfishly, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that his credit score is lower, he's not going to be able to buy a house for a couple
Yeah.
years. And he was so appreciative of
You helped him.
yeah, of me
It was
helping him
huge.
that
Yeah.
he was the best tenant ever.
That's huge.
Took care of everything. He was quiet, stayed
That's
there.
huge.
Yeah, stayed
Because
there
he
for a number of
appreciated it,
years.
and he was
Yeah,
trying to, like, be nice with you too.
yeah. Like
And
I love the people that come in and you know that it means something to them and you want to help them out.
Yeah.
But even like, I know we talked about evictions and all that stuff, but we don't have, like, I never evicted not
Yeah.
you, of course, but all of us. I don't think nobody has evicted anybody.
No.
I've had to evict somebody.
You have?
Yeah.
Like your own tenant?
Yes.
All right, so sorry, I take that back. I haven't.
It was one of those like situations where you're trying to
Okay.
help somebody. It was a young girl with her mom, and she just had a baby, and
Okay.
she was like, "Oh, me and my boyfriend broke
Okay.
up, and we just need a place, and etc." So I felt kind of bad, and I said, "All right, well, do you have first month's rent? Do you have security deposit?" But this was in the very, very beginning when I first started my journey.
Okay.
And yeah, sure enough, they moved in. Next thing you know, it's the boyfriend and the mom's boyfriend,
Oh
and
my God.
and then they're like gangsters.
Oh, that's not good. Okay.
So I was
got it.
terrified. I'm like, how am I gonna evict these people? I'm gonna get shot.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good. All right.
So I had to go through the whole process. I had to learn.
Wouldn't make it for this podcast. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you, Corinne.
Yeah, I literally had to go to court and do all the filing
Wow.
and pay and have a detective,
Right.
escort them out.
Wow.
So I learned real quick what it is to have your notices ready, how to, like, even though they tell you a sad story, you still have to run
You have to do
their
everything.
background 'cause you just never know.
So
But
if we have a
but
problem,
it is what it is. I'm like,
Yeah.
I learned and I got to see what it is to evict and what's the
Correct.
process. I got to meet
Correct.
really nice people in the courthouse
Yeah.
that were willing to help me.
Yeah, it happens.
And just
Yeah,
learn,
you
so.
know, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend that does a lot of Airbnbs. He's like
Yeah.
really good on it and everything. And he's really good at it. Like, he's on top of it, like you. But
Right.
he has multiple of them. So I'm like,
Mhm.
how do you manage all of them, right? But he did have a bad experience. And so I guess it was like, they had reviews too.
Mhm.
It's crazy. They had reviews and everything, but
Really?
yeah.
You're starting to scare me now.
I know.
Hold on, what happened?
I'm not sure how many reviews he had, but he told me they had reviews.
Okay.
And he had, I don't know, he had some suspicion, like he was suspicious a little bit, but he gave the benefit of the doubt. So he allowed them to go there. It should have been only 2 people. Long story short, he started getting calls from all the neighbors because it was a house. He gets calls from all the neighbors, and then the cops. It's a town. It's a town that's close by here in the office, and the cops knew him, and they called him too. Listen, he's like, listen, there's 50 people in your house. Like, I don't know what's going on. There's a party. There's music, and whatever the case is. Like, he ended up, like, calling the cops. The cop came there. They end up, like, because the person actually that booked the Airbnb
Mhm.
was not even there.
Oh wow.
So the cops were able to pretty much get everybody out. So everybody left. The funny part of the story,
There's a funny part.
there's a funny part. They ordered pizza for the party.
So they all enjoyed the pizza after.
The pizza was outside. The pizza was delivered outside, about 50 boxes. Literally 50 boxes were outside, and so all the cops, they ate pizza at the station.
So what happened? Did he obviously he reported the guests?
Yeah, so
But did
good
Airbnb
question.
pay any like damages
They
to
do.
the
They do.
home?
They do. He has to do insurance claim. He does an insurance claim. He gets, I think, some kind. And then, of course, Airbnb wants like receipts, invoices, what
Sure, sure.
happened, the
But at least
cleanup.
Airbnb has your back.
They have an insurance.
Mm-hmm.
They have an insurance, and yeah, he got refunded.
Good.
He got refunded everything.
Okay, I'm
So,
I'm not scared anymore.
but we still don't want that to happen. All right, because I have other tenants in that building, so let's make
Yeah,
no, we'll be okay. But
yeah,
life things happen, right, guys? Life things happen. It's
yeah.
not like everything's perfect. Life is life, and we gotta work it out. We gotta figure out, right? But that's why there's insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
I think
So
Airbnb is a great way to make money,
I like Airbnb. I gotta say.
especially if the property is located in a desirable
Yeah.
Yeah.
area.
I was skeptical
Whether it's like
before.
an airport nearby, a convention center, transportation,
Entertainment.
entertainment. But if it's not, then maybe it doesn't make sense
Correct.
to have an Airbnb. I have a unit that's about to go vacant,
Yeah, we talked about
and I
it.
was considering
Yeah.
doing Airbnb on it, but it just doesn't make sense.
You're like,
It'll make more money long-term rental
Yeah.
than short-term. So if anybody's thinking of getting into Airbnb,
Yeah.
you have to make sure that it's located in a desirable area.
Yeah. I think we could one day. We're gonna come up with another episode and just talk about Airbnb,
Like from start
from
to
how
finish.
to set it up, what location to look for, like all the details on that, So we'll definitely do that. So I think it'll be cool. But now, Mark, I want to ask you a question because of course, you invest and you're buying properties and everything. But when you are buying a property like a multi-unit, right? Because you started from a townhome, and all of a sudden you went to a multi-unit. What are you looking like?
Yeah. What do
For
I
the
look?
client like
Yeah.
out there, like if a client has a townhome right now, like I have a closing next tomorrow, I think. He's buying a townhome and he's interested in buying
Mhm.
maybe later on, multi-unit. But what are you looking for? So people could
Yeah. So
understand.
no, it's a good question. Like me personally, I like value add opportunities.
Mm,
So
value add.
I'm looking for, the buildings that have been owned by, same person for 20 years, 25 years.
Wow.
Maybe the tenants have been there long term as well, where rents are not at market, right?
So technically the cap rate, right?
Yeah.
How they use it in real estate
Yeah,
terminology,
yeah,
is low.
yeah,
Meaning rents are super low and not at market level.
yeah, yeah.
And you see the value add meaning that
Yeah, so I mean, like what I do essentially is, I look for those, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll come in and essentially remodel the units. And, as a result of those nice new units, the
Yeah.
rent is obviously going to go up to market or maybe
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
But like the nice thing about that is, I mean, yes, you're spending a little bit more money up front, right? There's
Upfront.
no way around that
Yeah, yeah.
to make the units nice. But then,
Yeah.
next 5, 10 years,
You're set.
you're set.
But think about it, what you offer, even for your clients, is huge because people that do that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
check the value add and
Yeah.
everything, are like big investors, like
Mhm.
REITs, right?
Yeah.
Like Grant, everybody knows Cardone. He's all over our social
Yeah,
media.
same
Grant
thing they
Cardone,
do.
GC.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy. But he does that. That's what he does. And you could do that in a smaller, like, local level
Mhm.
and make the small guy, mom and pop guy, pot shop, right? Make him rich.
Yeah.
There's so many benefits too on the back end. So like you're investing upfront, but also like at the end when you file taxes, because you're considered an investor, it's
Yes.
considered your business. You can
Right.
file for do some write-offs on your building.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, and you like on a personal level, right? You feel good about it because you're taking something that wasn't cared for
Yeah.
and you're making it nice and you're giving a family somewhere nice to live.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely that.
I put some senior units and I'm like, wow.
They're really nice.
Put it off. I have like, hey, can I buy it? Like I thought it was gonna give me.
Yeah, we've tried to buy each other.
We have.
Do you remodel them on your own? Like do you get
I get help. I get
Okay.
help, but I actually do a lot of it. Yeah.
some of it?
Yeah.
My favorite thing is
He
doing-
put tile.
Tile.
Come on, let's say the truth. I'm like, Mark, what are you doing? We got showings going. He's like, hey man, I gotta tile my bathroom. I'm like, tile your bathroom. But that is good because when you do the showing, he could tell them how much it's gonna cost to remodel a bathroom.
Yeah, yeah. No, give
You
them
know, because
examples.
you know all about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you tile bathrooms, Susan?
I paint.
Oh, you paint.
I paint, I
Am I the only one that
clean.
doesn't do nothing? I do sell though. Come on. I sell properties, I guess. I talk.
And you're a chef.
I'm a chef.
I'm
Yeah.
a chef now.
Thank you, Mark.
Not even fair. I
See,
make
that's why I
those
like-
I started making those videos, right?
Uh-huh.
And I only get like 20 views, whatever.
Yeah.
This guy makes a pasta and he has like 1,000 views, and people are like,
I got
"Oh
last
my
one,
God,
like
you're a
2,000
chef."
views. What the heck
Yeah,
is better than a real estate
it's
video?
Italian. They say
Probably.
Italian chef. Come on.
I
I
know.
got the whole mix, say some Italian word, but it's all good. It's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. So I think this is how do you say in English? It's a wrap.
This is a wrap.
It's a wrap, right? I don't even say it.
Chicken wrap.
I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. English is my second language. I do speak Italian fluent, 100%, and that's why I went to school. So just in case you guys making fun.
English is my second language.
But you speak better. If your grammar is better. Anyway.
Ask my husband that.
All right, guys.
Okay, sorry.
No, don't worry. We got to get going because these guys are going to get annoyed. The video's too long now. I just want to say thank you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for, taking time from your day, coming to the office and, doing this podcast with me. So it was pretty cool. So thank you,
Yeah.
Mark. Thank
Yeah,
you, Karina. So podcast episode number 3, it's over. See you guys later. Ciao.